y'all, how are y'all doing today? Today is going to be a sheet pan supper. We're going to chop up all the veggies, chop up all our meat, mix it all together in a big mixing bowl, and then we're going to place it on cookie sheets or baking sheets and then put it in the oven, and then we're done. So it's real easy. It's going to be real quick. I've already chopped one whole onion, so I'm going to stick that in there. Oh, and the meal, let's see what the oven roasted smoked sausage and potatoes. It's really simple, so we shouldn't have any problems with it. We're going to use, this is Conecuh brand sausage, but you can probably use any smoked sausage. It comes in a 32-ounce package, and I'm only supposed to use a pound for this. But I'm going to put a little bit extra sausage in it and a little bit extra potatoes. The potatoes are only supposed to be 5 large ones. There's 10 here, and they're not large. They're kind of medium-ish. So I'm going to just put in a little bit extra for my husband and my boys. So you slice all these. And you could really add anything you wanted to this. You could do bell peppers. I just didn't do that this time. Definitely more onion. I don't know what else you could do. Maybe some broccoli or some Brussels sprouts would be good. Probably Brussels sprouts for sure with this meat mixture. Broccoli would probably be more of a beef thing to add instead of pork. You could probably also use beef sausage. I didn't think about that. This is just a pork smoked sausage. The smoked sausage has got a lot more flavor. That's probably why it's one of the best things to use in something like this. And it could stand up to the heat without really getting real tough. My oven's already preheated to 400. Okay, now you got all your potatoes in here. You got your onion, and you can add another onion, which personally I think it needs another one, but I'm just gonna wing it. Just put what I have in here, already in here. This is our first time making it anyway, and sometimes I like to change it the next time I make it, so we'll see. Okay, let's see what she says. Okay, so you take some olive oil. She says just use a couple tablespoons, but like I said, I did add extra meat and extra potato. So I'm gonna try to do just a little bit more than what she said. Okay. And what you need to do before you add any spices, go ahead and give it a stir so that the oil can coat everything first. Because what's going to happen is wherever that oil is where those spices are going to stick. And if you didn't do this ahead of time, guess what's going to happen? They're all going to be in one spot. Okay, so there we go. Alright. Salt and pepper to taste. So here's some salt. Pepper. I'll give it a generous amount of pepper. Okay. Some paprika. And she said 2 teaspoons. So I put just a little bit more than 2 teaspoons. And some dried thyme. Thyme, I don't mind using. Rosemary is the thing I can't stand. It tastes terrible, so I usually try to avoid it. She said 1 teaspoon, I'm gonna put in 2. Just maybe a little extra, just to make sure that we can taste it. So take your cooking spoonful, your cooking spoon, and stir it up. If you're really brave, you could use your hands. You don't have to use a spoon, but I'm trying to be. Alright. That's all you gotta do. So you take your baking sheet, line it with foil. Let me see, I need to spray it just to make sure. And spread this out. And I've got 2 baking sheets. She said it's best to use the baking sheets with the sides on them. All the ones I have sides, so in case y'all have a baking sheet or a cookie sheet that doesn't, she said it was best to use one with sides. Okay, so there it is. And I'll let you see it when it comes out. It's ready to go in the oven. See you in a minute. Okay, everything come out of the oven just fine. I let the sausage kind of burn just a little, just char just a little bit. And it looks phenomenal. One way to tell if it's done would be to check the potatoes. Find a real thick potato and kind of cut into it with a knife or a fork. And if it's tender enough and it doesn't give you any resistance, then it's time to come out. So baked it 400. I did it more about 20 minutes, not 30 like the recipe says. You know, the sausage was small and the potatoes were small, so I didn't really think it needed that long. So I just took it out when it was ready. No sense in overcooking. And that's it. And all you got to do, plate it up. You got your meat and your veggie right here. I mean, I guess you could always do a salad or something. That's it. Y'all be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hey y'all, today is going to be a really quick sheet pan dinner. I'm going to do another one real soon too, so you'll get a couple of different ideas. What I was looking for was some different vegetable options to go with what I was doing with the sheet pan dinners. I love doing these because they're real quick and it doesn't take a bunch of fancy stuff to do it. This one is going to just be asparagus and chicken, and I bought, let me try to see here. I bought 2 pounds of asparagus from Aldi's, and we chopped the ends of them off, you know, just about an inch or so on the end of the asparagus, because that's a little bit too woody for, you know, it's gonna not soften. So you want to try to do that. It's about that much. Anyway. So we did that. We got this set over on our sprayed sheet pan, and I took some chicken legs and I marinated them in a marinade I made all by myself. And you can do it too. It's once you get started kind of making these marinades, it's literally nothing for you to just kind of whip one up. This one was some soy sauce, some lemon juice, a little bit of honey, a little bit of ground ginger, and some garlic. And I think I did put a little bit of salt and pepper in there. And just marinated it for a few hours. And I'm going to put this on here. I really don't want it all to dry out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, let me get this cooking spoon, and spoon some of this, marinade over everything. And put just a little bit on the vegetables. This is going to already cook together, so you don't have to worry about making anybody sick or anything. All gonna cook together. And put just a tad bit of the juice on there, that way we won't dry out. I think I'm gonna go ahead and cover this with foil to help the cooking go a little bit faster. But yeah, that's it. It's real easy and simple. I'm gonna do it on 350 because I kind of want it to cook slowly, and I don't want it to, you know, burn or anything like that. So I'm going to cover this with foil. Put it in for 350, and then you take it out when the chicken is done. Alright, see you back here in a few minutes. Okay, everybody. It's out of the oven. It took about 45 minutes at 350. You probably could up it to 375, but I didn't want it to stick or get gummy or anything like that. And it didn't, even though there was no oil in the marinade. It didn't, but you can put a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in the marinade if you're concerned about that. I think I'm going to possibly put a little bit of butter on the asparagus when I serve it, and the chicken, maybe a little bit of salt, but I think it's going to be fine. And that is just an easy go-to dinner, and real simple, real good. A marinade that I made myself just right out of the spice cabinet. Okay, y'all, see you next time. Hey everybody, I'm going to show you another real easy sheet pan dinner. If you go to Aldi's, I'm sure Walmart has them too, but Aldi's has got, and they're pretty good price, they're pretty cheap. They have turkey tenderloins, and they're flavored. So they have, like, the store here locally to me has only 2 flavors, so I don't know if they make more. Y'all have to let me know at the stores in your area. But in our area, they only have like the cracked pepper flavor and the rotisserie flavor. And this will be our first time trying it. So I decided to make it into a sheet pan dinner. This is what they look like. You see them on the sheet pan now. They come in, you know, 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a bunch of vegetables to roast with it. I've done this before with chicken, pork, different things. So we're going to try this, and then I'm going to put some seasoning and stuff on top afterwards. So this is the rotisserie flavor. I decided to go with something kind of more, you know, simple. And I am going to put an array of vegetables on here. We're going to start with potatoes. Your good classic combo would be anything that would go in like a pot roast. So you can think on that lines to get you started, especially if this is like your first time doing it. And then after that, you could venture out if you've never done something like this before and try other vegetables that would work. This is always my go-to because my husband loves pot roast. He loves anything having to do with potatoes and carrots. So this is one that you'll see me make a lot, which I think I've already done a video on something like this before. And we're going to try soon to start kind of factoring in some other veggies. I did just do another sheet pan dinner involving asparagus. That one did okay, but I don't think everybody was a fan, even though they love asparagus. I'm thinking next time probably some Brussels sprouts, fresh ones, would probably work really good. You need to try to cut them in bite-sized pieces. That would be the best thing, and that goes for all your vegetables. And, you know, it doesn't have to be exact measurements. It doesn't have to be 25 different onions or, you know, whatever. One onion will work. A couple stalks of celery or whatever you have on hand. It's just real easy. I'm not going to have a recipe listed below because this is just a big throw together thing that I do on occasion. It's just trying to give you ideas, different ideas for your sheet pan dinners. I have some leftover onion. So typically my onion I cut bigger pieces, but this is just what I had, so I'll throw it on there. And then I have a piece of another one, so let me get that chopped up. Okay. Make sure also, I did spray the bottom of the pan before I started putting anything in there, but make sure that whatever, you know, what I would do, what I always do is make sure that you this is some old celery I'm trying to get rid of. Also, you know, right before you add your spices to the top of the vegetables, sprinkle or drizzle a little bit of oil on top. That'll help the herbs and spices stick. Also, it'll keep your food from sticking to the pan, and it'll give a little more flavor too. Yeah, I had some vegetables I was trying to get rid of, so this was like the perfect clean out the fridge dinner. And you could also use frozen vegetables. It just makes those a little bit more soggier, so I don't like the end product. So I don't typically use frozen to do this. Okay, now I'm gonna go and pick out some of my favorites, herbs and spices and seasonings, and put on here. Okay, so I'm opening a new bottle of olive oil. So I'm just going to drizzle some of this on here. Okay. And some salt and pepper. That's always a good standby. And then I'm probably going to put some thyme on that. I'm not a fan of rosemary, but some people do that. So wrap it with foil really good so that everything cooks kind of even. And I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. See you in a little while. Okay, y'all, forgot to tell you. Put this in the oven, 350, 375. Not real sure which one I'm gonna put it on yet. And then you will cook it until your potatoes and your carrots, especially your carrots, are tender. Could take 30 minutes, could take a little bit longer. Just depends on how small you cut everything. I did go ahead and add the thyme, and don't forget, it needs to be covered when it goes into the oven. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make a chicken sheet pan dinner. It's going to be real quick and simple. I'm not going to follow any recipe. I'm just going to kind of throw things together, see where we end up. You need to go ahead and preheat your oven to 425. And then let's go ahead and get our spices together first. I'm just going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just some of our favorite spices to put all over the chicken. We're going to do chicken thighs, and we're going to do baby carrots, and we're going to do green beans, fresh ones, fresh on both. So let's go ahead and do that. I did stick my carrots into the microwave with a little bit of water and try to steam them a little bit so they won't be as hard, you know, when it's time for it to be done. They're not really soft, but they're a little bit softer than they were. But let's go ahead and start on our spices, herbs and spices first. I'm going to do onion powder, quite a bit, and none of this is measured, so you kind of do it how you would like to. Garlic powder, but not as much. And I'm gonna have to, I need to say this. We're doing about 2 pounds of beans and about 1 pound of baby carrots, and then we're gonna do about 8, I believe, chicken thighs. So we're gonna need quite a bit. This is paprika. Let's do some salt. This is seasoned salt. You can use regular salt if you want to, or kosher. Pepper. Thyme is my favorite, so good amount of that. Rosemary, not so much, so I'm gonna go sparingly on that one. And some parsley. Okay, let's stir all these up. I'll do a little bit more paprika. And I'm only gonna show you half of everything because I'm going to split this up among two sheet pans. So I've got 4 thighs in here, and I'm going to put some oil on those. You can use any type. We're going to do about half of our carrots. half of our green beans. About a pound. So we got that. I'll get a cooking spoon. Stir this up so that you spread the oil on everything.
Hey, now that our names are written in stone, let's be honest, sounds like home. Still I'm here alone and I'm calling your phone. I wish I could wipe my own memory. Wish I could talk when there's...
You can do this in a cooking bag or oven bag, but I'm just going to put it on a 4-line pan. I'm going to go ahead and place my chicken.
That will make sense. I wish I would know what you're thinking about. I wish I could wipe my own memory out.
Grab some more foil over the top, and you can either cover the complete pan just like this, just lay it on top, or you can tighten it around the pan. I'm just going to lay it on top, and the oven's already preheated. We're going to stick this in, so I'm going to have 2 sheet pans of the same thing, and I'm just going to make double. But we're going to do it like this instead of putting everything on one, is so that it'll cook evenly. So remember that. Okay, so we'll just put this in the oven until everything's done, especially the chicken. I'll see you back here in a few. I just wanted to show you, it's got plenty of seasoning on it, but I just want to take the excess seasoning because I didn't want to have to pack it away, and just put a little bit more on everything. And that's it. And then put your foil on just like before, and put it in the oven and cook it until everything is done. Okay, y'all, after about 45 minutes to an hour, your chicken should be ready to go. Because I steamed the carrots a little bit before I add them to the green beans, that helped cook them just a tiny bit, and they're completely tender without falling apart. And the chicken's done, and it literally took me less than an hour, and I did 2 sheet pan dinners. We are going to do one with steak bites. Basically pieces of, you could do steak, but I'm going to use stew meat pieces, you know, the little chunks of meat that you put like in beef stews and stuff like that. You're going to want to get you a big old bowl and just drop them all in here. I'm going to use some canola oil, but you can use any type of oil that you need. Just need to make sure that all your pieces are not clumped together. You're going to use just a little bit of oil. 2 or 3 tablespoons should work. I want to go ahead and dump my vegetables in here. For this one, I chose baby carrots, the whole bag. So that's a 1-pound bag. And I got a bag of, let's see if you can see that, sugar snap peas. They were marked down. I was like, I guess I could try those. But you could try anything. You could do green beans, you could do broccoli, just anything. All right, and so what you're gonna do is you're gonna stir these, because we want to have the oil distributed as much as we can on everything before we add the seasoning. So that's our mixture. I'm going to set it off to the side. Let me get a bowl. I'm going to use some garlic powder. Not tons and tons, but I'm going to be generous. I'm going to use some onion powder because that's my favorite. Again, generous amounts, at least 2 teaspoons a piece. And then the next thing we're going to use is we're going to use this Montreal steak seasoning. Now you can use any type of seasoning that kind of goes with steak if you want to get these ones that are pre-mixed. And you don't want to go too crazy with it. And also, you need to get a fork, a spoon, a whisk, anything. Just kind of stir those together. So the last of our seasoning. Usually what I like to do is take the vegetables and just steam them just a little bit in the microwave just to kind of give them a head start. But I completely forgot to do that. You take the carrots, put them in a bowl of water, and microwave them on high for about 4.5 to 5 minutes. And that's for 16 ounces worth. So we'll see how it goes. I just went ahead and left all my little pieces on my peas. I figured they'll be fine. So let's get this thing started. And believe it or not, my family will have this gone. It will not take long, and it will be an empty pan. I just continue to cook it until the meat's done and the carrots are tender. Usually that's good enough. Should be about 45 minutes or so, but it could be less or more depending on how much meat or how big the meat is, or you know, how thick. I'm going to get a piece of foil to go over the top, and I'm going to take my foil and I'm going to spray it. That's it. It doesn't have to be completely protected, but it is for the most part, and it's still allowing steam to come out the side, so we're good. 400, 425. You can even go up as high as 475, but it may cook a little too tough. So I try to stay around the 400, 425. And chicken, it doesn't really matter, but beef, you're probably gonna have some issues with. But that'll be it, and I will show y'all the finished product as soon as it comes out. Probably 45 minutes or so. Okay, y'all, so this is fresh out of the oven. I'm gonna let it sit here for just a few minutes, and I'm gonna start serving it. It took closer to 40 minutes to get done at 425. And the carrots are just a little bit too underdone, but I'm just going to go ahead and serve it anyway. But everything else turned out fine. May need a little salt, but this will be perfect for my family. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make 2 sheet pan dinners. These are different than I've done before. They're 2... I wouldn't say pasta. One's a pasta and one is got tortillas in it. So one's a Mexican and one's an Italian dish. So we are going to try to get these and throw them together. They're basically like a dump and go, but instead of it going into a skillet or on the stovetop, it's going to be in the sheet pan and go in the oven. Okay. So it's going to take a good bit of prep work, but I think I got everything set up and ready to go, so we can just go ahead and begin. I cooked a pound of ground beef, fried it loose. I've already drained it, and now I'm going to add my seasonings. I need a tablespoon of garlic powder. And some of these are going to be dry, even though the recipe calls for fresh, so keep that in mind. You have to adjust your measurements when you cook with dry if the recipe calls for fresh. So I usually do about half of what it calls for if it's fresh. And I'm going to put some parsley in, but I'm not going to put as much as it calls for. That's a lot. And I need to make sure I've got all those. Now, you're going to add all of your seasonings except for your Italian seasoning. You're going to set it aside. I'm running low on Italian seasoning, so I'm going to add a little bit of basil to it to kind of make up the difference. But you stir all these up together. Now, you can follow the recipe to a T. I kind of, you know, went off to the left a little, just a little bit. Just because I have to cook many things for many different videos, so I'm short on time. But if you're, oh, and please forgive the dishwasher's going in the background. I'm trying to talk over it, but anyway. So we'll go ahead and we get all those seasonings in there. I'm gonna add some sauce. We do like ragu, but I decided to go a little bit cheaper this time. I've got a 45-ounce jar of traditional Great Value sauce. We always go traditional. The flavor, the beef flavored or the meat flavored, to me has like beef broth in it or something. I just don't like it. So we try to go just as plain as possible. And you're going to go ahead and mix this together. And while that's simmering, because you want it to simmer just a little bit, we're going to move over a little bit and we're going to go ahead and get our, what would typically be in lasagna world, our filling ready. So hang on just a minute, let me get that set up. Okay, y'all. So here is my cottage cheese mixture. We're going to mix that all together. You do not have to use cottage cheese. You can use ricotta. Let me get the measurements on that. 16 ounces is what you need. You're going to salt and pepper to taste. So hopefully that won't be too much. You're going to put in 1 beaten egg. Okay. And like I said, let me get the measurements on this. Okay. A tablespoon of Italian seasoning, and I did not have a tablespoon. So I'm going to just add a little bit of basil, take up the slack on that. I do not like the Italian seasoning. There's something in it that is yuck. So when I make my own lasagna, I just use basil pretty much throughout the whole recipe. I like oregano too. But just something about it, I don't know what's in it, but something I just don't like. Maybe the rosemary. Because that's not, I'm not a fan. But anyway, so that's your filling. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move our sauce over into another bowl because we're going to add it to our noodles. And so like I said, this is kind of a dump and go thing, just like dump and go stovetop lasagnas or lazy lasagnas are. It's very similar, but just a little bit different, just a different little twist. All right, I'll be right back with you. Okay, y'all, so we'll move this skillet over here. It's got our sauce in it. Make sure y'all can see it. All right, so at this time, if you wanted to, you can add some heavy whipping cream to this and make it more creamy. I wasn't going to do that. I was going to skip that part. And I think you can and get away with it. I don't think there's like a huge, you don't have to do that. So the next thing you need to do is you're going to have to stir in a cup of mozzarella into the sauce and a cup of parm. And I don't have enough parm for the rest of this recipe, so the rest of the recipe I'm just going to use what little bit of parm I have left. And I think I can probably get away with that too. All right, so we're going to mix all this in. Okay, so we're done with the sauce. Now, I cooked the lasagna noodles. I broke them into pieces. This is 16 ounces. They're al dente. And so the next step is we're going to okay, next step is you're going to take the sauce and you're going to mix it in. And sorry for the noise, I just want to make sure I get everything. Okay, so we're going to try our best to stir it after it gets all over me. still think that we should have done this with some other sort of noodle. That way we wouldn't have to worry about these big old noodles. Even though they're broke in half, they're still cumbersome to have to work with. But I'm just gonna do my best and then we'll worry about it later. Okay, let me clean up just a little bit. All right. Okay, this is basically it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get my largest sheet pan and I'm gonna spray it with some spray. And it's an ugly thing, but I use it a lot. So we'll spray with some spray. We're going to put this here. And this stuff's heavy, y'all. So we're going to put this on the sheet pan. So once you get past, you know, all the extras having to do with lasagna, you know how lasagna is, it's easy, I guess, but it's got a lot of steps. And so I don't make homemade a lot, even though my family loves it. And that's why. It's because it's just, it costs $1 million to make. That's what I always tell them. And it's just a headache. Now, I like a lazy lasagna or something like that because, you know, it's kind of a one-pot kind of situation. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to spread these out. Try to get them as a single layer as possible. Okay? Going to do your best to do that. Then you're going to take your mixture, your cottage cheese mixture. I'm going to try to get a spoon because this spatula is not going to work. Okay. Dollop this on. I'm going to kind of dollop it on, but kind of spread it out some. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 cups of mozzarella, which I have a lot here, but I'm not going to use all this. And then what's left of your parm, which is usually 2 cups, even though the ingredient list did not state that. I didn't see it. So I'm going to sprinkle this on and make a mess because I think cheese is cheap or something. And then I'm going to do some more. And you're just going to try to cover this best you can. Okay? That was probably just a teeny bit more than a cup, but. And then I'm going to take my parm and use that. And then that's it. Let's see. You're going to bake this for about 40 minutes at 350. So what you're going to do is once this is done, you're going to just kind of, you know, kind of cut it a little bit with maybe a cooking spoon or something, or a spatula. It'll probably kind of fall apart, I would think. And it's basically a big bowl of lazy lasagna, basically. But you can also do the noodles a little bit different than what I did. You could spread them out. But, you know, keep an eye on it. Don't let it burn. And I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, y'all. So this is the finished product for the lasagna. It was already starting to brown on top, so I wanted to go ahead and take it out. But it's ready to go. I left some of these exposed, so they're a little bit crunchy. But I don't know how you're going to avoid that unless you probably leave them whole and try to layer it that way and cover it in sauce. And like I said, I used about 45 ounces, I believe, of the sauce, just so it's extra saucy. You do not have to do that. I want to say that the recipe called for 24 ounces. But I just got the bigger one because I like it a little bit more wet. But you can certainly change that if you would like. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to work on a sheet pan enchilada recipe. It's a first for me with the enchiladas on a sheet pan, but I figure it's really similar to nachos, so it shouldn't be too hard to make. You're going to have to preheat your oven to 375. I've already cooked a pound of ground beef, loose, and drained it. And I've deferred from the recipe just a little. But you'll see once you actually, use the recipe. I was supposed to cook the taco seasoning with the meat as it cooked, but I'm short on time, so I'm just trying to take as many shortcuts as I can. So you can do it how I do it on the video, or you can follow the recipe to a T, up to you. So I also changed the enchilada sauce. We prefer green, so we're going to use the green enchilada sauce, so hopefully it won't look too ugly. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this with it. You need 28 ounces of enchilada sauce. And you're just going to stir that. And then, while I get some other parts of the recipe together, we're going to let this simmer as soon as I wipe up this mess. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to let this simmer as soon as I get it mixed together really good. Really similar to our other sheet pan recipe, or sheet pan lasagna. The method is kind of the same. So you should be able to follow it okay. It is a little time consuming, but I have faith in you. I believe you can do it. So the next part of this is we're going to get our sheet pan together. Now you'll need a very large sheet pan for this, and you're going to need some cooking spray. I have some very well loved sheet pans, and those are the ones I always use, and they're quite large. So set it here, and then we're going to get some of our other things ready to go. I've already cut up 27 corn tortillas, not flour, but corn. The recipe calls for that, and I think we probably need to stick to the recipe on that. Flour will tend to kind of break down to become mush. Not that these can't, but flour would do it pretty quickly. So I'm going to give this sauce just a little bit more time to heat up, and then I'll come right back. Okay, y'all. So you need to get a big bowl. You need to cut your corn tortillas. I just cut them in half and then in half again, where they look like kind of like little triangles. And then you're going to take your sauce and you're going to pour it in there. Now, I'm going to layer it this time. Oh, Lord. It always makes a mess, y'all. Always. Try my best to do this. Okay. And I took half of them out just so that I could kind of get a better spread on it or whatever. Spread it out more. Make sure that it's coating everything. And then let me get a spatula. Pour this in here. Actually, this recipe is a lot easier than a lasagna, because as you know, lasagnas have, they just have a lot of work that goes into them. And so just okay. So basically, that's it. And we are going to get our sheet pan, which I sprayed with spray. Hopefully y'all can see it. Okay. And then you're gonna spread this out. Okay. Spread it out. Best I can. Oops. Ooh. Honestly, if I had this to do over again, I don't know how I could do it better. That's what I always try to do with every recipe, especially if it seems like it was not hard, but it just seemed like that how it's laid out in the recipe, sometimes it just seems like you eventually get your act together as far as that goes, and you have the finished product and all that. But for some reason, some recipes seems like they just seem like they're not laid out too well. So I try to like come up with a different plan for the next time I make it, especially if it's one that I liked, you know. Okay, so I have some Colby, not Colby Jack, but Colby cheese, and I have some pepper jack cheese, and I'm just gonna kind of put them together. You only need, let me recheck the measurements. You only need 2 cups worth of cheese total. So I'm probably going to end up putting 3. Because I think this was about 3. So pepper jack and Colby. Now you can use whatever mixture you want to. That's not going to matter. So if you get the Fiesta blend or one of the blends, you know, that a lot of people prefer, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And then the last part of the recipe, we're supposed to put sliced black olives and some chopped jalapeno. Usually the jalapeno that I like to use is pickled. It is so good. And that brand that I'm always showing y'all is like crunchy, and I just love that. I don't like the sogginess of like pickles or anything like that. Peppers, any of that. I like for it to be crunchy. Because to me, that's like the closest thing to fresh, and it's probably not. But I'm just saying, in my mind. And I like, but I'm also the type of person that I like to add fresh tomatoes to things that's cooked, and you know, not in the sun dried, stuff like that. So I'm that type of person. So I've got a texture thing, I guess. Anyway, I'm not gonna put jalapenos on these. Just for the people that in my family that don't prefer the spiciness, I'll just put it on individual plates or whatever. You're gonna put this in the oven for 375, only for like 25 minutes. This one should be a lot easier and than the lasagna one, and it should get done a lot faster. Lasagna's got the raw egg in it. Even though everything's pretty much cooked, it's got the raw egg in it, so that's kind of a factor. Okay, as soon as this one comes out of the oven, I will get right back to you. Okay, y'all, so this is a finished product. I went ahead and took it out, and I'm going to let it cool. You need to let each of these sheet pan recipes cool about 10 minutes before you cut into them. And you're going to cut into them with maybe a pizza cutter, and then lift them out with like a spatula or a pancake turner, you know, a bigger spatula. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some green onions on top. And then when I go to dish it out, I'm going to put some sour cream, maybe a little chopped tomato, you know, just all the things. So that is going to be a really quick and easy dinner. It took no time to throw together. Like I said, this one was a lot easier than our Italian version that we've got. But I think it's going to be good. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to make some chicken thighs, and I'm going to change up my barbecue sauce just a little bit. It's going to be more of a honey mustard barbecue sauce. So let's go ahead and get some things ready. I did base this off a recipe, but it's loosely based. Instead of using just a few pounds of chicken thighs, I'm just going to use the whole pack. The big family pack that you can get at the store. Alright, we'll sprinkle these with a little bit of seasoned salt and pepper. And if you've got some garlic powder, that would be good too. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle. I just needed something different than typical. Okay. Now, I'm gonna put this in the oven after I get the barbecue sauce on. We're gonna cook it for about 20 minutes. And then I made my own little mixture. To put on these. It's a honey mustard sauce that I made. That I made too much of, actually. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this in. 20 minutes. I'm gonna put it in an oven, 400 degrees. Recipe calls for something more, but it will burn the sauce, and I don't want it to do that. Anything will burn the sauce, actually, but we're gonna try to go a little bit lower and see how it goes. All right, 400 for about 20 minutes, and then bring it back out, and then we'll take a look at it, and then we'll put our next sauce on. All right, so took it out. Gonna put some more sauce on it. Gonna put it back in for another 20. And then the last few minutes, we're gonna put the honey mustard sauce on that I made an abundance of and wasn't supposed to, y'all. And that'll be it. It's just a different way to already do like that just boring piece of chicken. And I did put it on a cookie sheet or a baking sheet, and I put a rack in it. That way that the grease could kind of drip down and it's not just sitting in grease. Alright, so back in the oven for about 15 more minutes, and then I'll bring it back out and we'll do something else with it. Okay, y'all. So now I'm going to put this sauce that I made on top of this. It's a mixture of mayo, sour cream, yellow mustard. I did put a little bit of the barbecue sauce in here too, but you don't have to do that. What else did I put in here? It was barbecue sauce, mayonnaise, sour cream, and yellow mustard, and honey. I'm making sure I got it really good saturated. Alright, so you put this back in the oven for about another 15 minutes, and I'm hoping that my chicken will be done by then. Okay, I'll see you back here in a few. Okay, y'all, so this is a finished product. I did do 2 layers of regular barbecue sauce underneath this mustard sauce, and you can baste some of the mustard sauce on top of this. I do have a little bit left. I plan on doing that. But it's done. It's ready to go. We're just going to serve this with green beans, but of course you could do it for your cookouts or anything like that as well. But this just proves that you can have barbecue any time of the year. It doesn't have to be in the summertime. Sometimes you just want some. I had a pack of thighs in the freezer. It took a few condiments, and then I was able to make a different type of chicken. Okay, y'all, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time.